Good morning, dear students. Now we are in the fourth module. I'm going to give you a quick recall. So, we are in the module GST. GST is a goods and services tax. It is an indirect tax which added many taxes. And according to GST, we have three components: central GST, state GST, and integrated GST. If you are doing intrastate supply, you will be applicable for central state GST and state GST. And if you are doing interstate supply, you are applicable for integrated GST. Business is nothing but even a single transaction or one-time business or business happen without any consideration will also consider as a business under GST. Input tax credit. Input tax credit is nothing but at the time of paying tax on output, you can reduce the tax you have already paid on inputs, nothing but raw materials. When I purchase raw materials, I have already paid GST for the raw materials. So, when I was sold out, I am getting some money. In that money, there is a cost of production is added, profit is added, and GST is also there. So, while receiving all this, I will reduce the GST what I have already paid, and I will pay the balance to the government. That is the input tax credit. Okay. Next thing is supply under GST. According to GST, even the barter system, exchange, sales, lease, disposal of scrap, and transfer, like permanent transfer of assets, business assets, even for with consideration or without consideration, everything will be treated as a supply. Okay. Here there is a concept called related person and distinct person. Related persons are nothing but already the person having relations, like he may be the officer or director of the same business. He may be the employer or employee of the same business. He may be the one of the family member of the persons, like relative to the director or relative to the officers of the business, like that. So, once there is a relationship there between two business people, like who is a seller and a buyer, automatically there will be a monetary consideration. There will be a change in the monetary consideration. If I am sold products to the unknown person, I will charge some money. If I sold products to the known person, at that time I will charge less amount of money. Okay. So this is how we have to find out the related person under GST. So how the valuation of transaction, like selling of goods or services, that happen between related person. So totally there are 4 methods accepted by the tax authorities. First one is the open market value. For an example, A is selling products to the B. B is a related person here. So he is selling the product for rupees 1200. The next, continue with this. C is an unrelated person to A. Here, A is selling the same product, that is same amount of product to C, what he sold to B, but he sold for rupees 1500 here. So 1500 is the actual money taken by the tax authority for the transaction that happened with B also. Even though it sold for rupees 1200, that money won't be taken by the tax authority. The actual money 1500 will be taken for all the transactions. Okay. This is the first method, open market value method. If suppose the open market value cannot be determined, Then other persons, other sellers like A, who is selling the same product what he is manufacturing in the market, like Mr. C, maybe he supplied the same product what A is manufacturing. The person C selling the product to Mr. D. D is an unrelated person to Mr. C here. He is selling the product for 1500. That will be considered for the transaction happened between A to B. Okay. So A kum B kum nadula and the transaction or value we could not find out. So நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம்னா the same product marketல வேற ஒருத்தர் manufacture பண்றாரு Mr. C. He is selling the same product, same amount of product to Mr. D. So 1500 rupees க்கு D க்கு sell பண்ணிருக்காரு. அந்த மணியை நம்ம என்ன பண்ணிக்கிறோம் transactions, அதாவது A to B குள்ள நடந்த transactionsக்கு நம்ம evaluate பண்ணிக்கிறோம், calculate பண்ணிக்கிறோம். ஓகேவா? So this is open market value could not be determined. அப்படின்னா அப்போ இந்த மெத்தடை நம்ம ஃபாலோ பண்றோம். Next thing is, if both the above methods are not possible, then we are move on with the cost of production method. Total cost of production எவ்வளவு வருதுன்றதை நம்ம calculate பண்றோம். Otherwise residual method, actual costல இருந்து residual value minus பண்ணிட்டு useful life of asset, and the asset oda actual life maybe a 5 years or 10 years. According to the assets, the actual lifetime will be changed. For example, if you buy a mobile phone, you know maximum of 1 year to 2 years. So systems, if you are purchasing a laptop, it may be 5 years. Machinery means 5 years. So இந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு அசெட்ஸ்க்கும் இருக்கிற லைஃப் டைம் வந்து நம்ம வேல்யூட் பண்ணி அதை டிவைட் பண்ணி நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம் ரெசிடியல் மெத்தட்ல அதோட வேல்யூவை கண்டுபிடிக்கிறோம். So these are the various 4 methods used for calculating the valuation of supply that happened with the related person. Okay. Who is a casual person? Here this side we have completed all the 6 points. The next last classes we have discussed about mixer and composite supply. So mixed supply is nothing but combination of 2 or more goods or services made together for a single price. Here the items are not dependent with each other, that may be different. For example, chips, cakes, soft drinks. So இந்த மாதிரி products வந்து ஒண்ணுக்கு ஒண்ணு ரிலேட்டடா இருக்காது. Even we can buy these products separately. We need not buy as a combo. ஒரு காம்போவை நம்ம வாங்கணும்ன்றது அவசியம் கிடையாது. செப்பரேட்டாவும் இந்த ப்ராடக்ட்டை பர்ச்சேஸ் பண்ணலாம். Maybe for giving us a gift box, we are purchasing all these products together. Maybe a Deepavali gift or birthday gift, we are purchasing all these products in the single combo pack. Okay. Here how the actual tax rate will be applicable is, item with the highest tax rate will be applicable for all the other products. For example, I am purchasing a combo pack of sweets, chocolates, maybe cakes and cool drinks. Okay. So in the 4 product la highest tax rate pathona, it is for cool drinks 28%. That 28% is applicable for all other products also, because I am purchasing a combo pack. If suppose I am purchasing these products separately, maybe sweets it may be 12%, for cool drinks it may be 28%, for chocolates it may be 18%. So there will be a different percentage of GST available. Okay. Composite supply, nothing but it is naturally blended. So if you purchase a product, automatically another product or service will add it together. For a simple example, we can say if I take a rented room for in a restaurant, automatically the room service like laundry, free food providing, food delivery service may be free I can get in the 5-star hotels and 3-star hotels, right? So the service and the goods delivered together cannot be separated. If suppose I am purchasing the goods from the other state, automatically transportation, insurance, everything will be added together. So the products or services cannot be separated. Here the tax rate of principal item will be taken. This is the major item that will be taken. For example, if I take a rented room, the rented room is the principal service I am getting. So for that alone I am paying the taxes. Automatically the other thing I will get a free. If I am purchasing the AC, for AC I will pay the GST. So installation may be free of cost or some amount will be charged. Okay. So this is the mixer supply and composite supply. Then registration of GST. So registration of GST is very much important. There is a lot of benefits we are receiving because of registration of GST. And then documents required is PAN, Aadhaar, and business registration proof, incorporation certificate, maybe the identity proof and address proof of promoters or directors, and address proof of place of the business like AB bill or anything. Then bank account statement, digital signature, authorization letter, or resolution, board resolution letter. These all have to be submitted for GST registration. Okay. Next thing is the casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person, input service distributor. Last time we have discussed about this concept, but just a quick recall, I have to explain slightly this one because it's a very important concept that you have to know clearly. Casual taxable person, he is a person who is having his company in any state within India. He is providing his services or selling his goods in another state that he don't have any office. Okay. For a simple example, XYZ is a event management company registered under GST in Maharashtra, but they are providing their services in Bangalore. In Bangalore, they are the unregistered company. In Bangalore, they didn't register themselves for GST. So here, according to the Bangalore event, they are the casual taxable person. They are not regularly going to do their business there. They are not. They didn't have any office or service center there, but they are providing services temporarily based on their business. So they are the casual taxable person. Within India, already they are registered themselves in GST in some other state. Okay. So they are the casual taxable person. XYZ is a casual taxable person. Non-resident taxable person means occasionally they have rendered services in India, but they don't have any fixed place of business in India. He may be residing in foreign country, but they are providing services to the place which was in India. Maybe he may be in America, Canada, or Australia, but they are providing some counseling services or free education services, online education services to the persons who are residing in India. So these persons are considered as non-resident taxable persons. They are non-resident to India, but they have to pay their taxes, right? Because they are providing their services to India. Last one is the input service distributor. This is nothing but, for a simple example, I can explain all this. The registered head office is in New Delhi. Their other branches are in Chennai, Bangalore, and Mumbai. So they are purchasing a software, and the installation cost is also added with the software. So the bill is received by the head office, New Delhi. Here the software is used by all the branches, Chennai, Bangalore, and Mumbai. So, but the invoice is received at New Delhi office because they are only purchasing the software for all other branches. Okay. Since the software is used by all the 4 locations, the ITC, input tax credit of entire service, cannot be claimed by the New Delhi because the software is used by all the 4 locations. So, to see how much is the amount that they have to claim, they have to be distributed to all the 4 locations. The claimed amount have to be distributed to all the 4 locations. So they have to jointly claim the money. The head office alone